and just going to do another little video here. And how can you tell immediately if something is good or bad? Okay, we'll keep things real, so stupid simple. Okay, this is how you can tell if things are good or bad. And the example would be, if you're not thinking about your thumb right now, then that means that that's a good thumb. Okay, the opposite to that is, if you were framing and you whacked your thumb with a hammer and you missed the nail, now your thumb would be throbbing and this would be a bad thumb. It would start swelling up on you. You would have a hard time moving it. Now you have a whole list of problems. Okay, so therefore, now you're of the mind because you're thinking and you're a thin king. Okay, two words together here. You're not as king. Now you're thin because now you're thinking about your sore thumb. Okay, so effectively put, this is how, if you can tell if something is good or bad. When I'm not thinking about doing things, obviously this would mean that things are natural and things are running and performing the way they should. Okay, so therefore you're not trying to control things, and you're letting go of things, and you're letting things be, and things do what they have to do when they have to do it. Okay, you come to start to accept this. So what happens is, now, for example, we were in the garden and we had good thumbs and we weren't thinking about our thumbs, and we were naturally picking fruit off trees. We weren't even thinking about it. We just walk up and see the sun shining on some fruit, pick that fruit and start eating it. Okay, so therefore this is all natural. This is the work of the Creator. Then effectively put, okay, we decided that we were going to step out of the garden, whack our thumbs, and now we were going to complicate everything. And now everything that we want is always outside of ourselves. And enough is never enough. And we never feel complete. And we never feel fulfilled. And enough is enough. And again, we never feel complete. This is the work of evil, okay? Satan is the author of confusion, but we're the distributors of it. So we're helping to purport and distribute more of this nonsense when we've stepped out of the garden. And when you step out of the garden, everything is always without, you're without, because you forgot that everything was within. So we had everything that we need, which was natural. Then we stepped out of the garden, which was natural, and everything became unnatural. Okay, but now we got so used to the unnaturalness of it that it unnaturally now became natural. And again, this is the work of evil. Okay, and people are the distributors of this. So if Satan is the author of confusion and the book is there, but we don't bother to read the book and we don't redistribute this book, then there's no redistribution of evil. You follow me, people, okay? So simply put, by not doing anything and not touching that book, and it'll all collapse right there. The gig is up, okay? So simply put, this is how you can tell whether things are good or bad. So like, if I have to think about, I got to get up this morning, I got to make the children's lunches, I got to do this, I got to do that, then I got to drop them off to daycare, then I got to drop them off to the bus, and drop the other one off to school, then I got to go to work, then I got to come back, then I got to pick them up, do the same thing, have supper. And meanwhile, that's if we have supper at home, we're probably off because little Johnny or Susie has a soccer game to play here. So now we're driving them off to soccer. And so everything is always without, outside of ourselves, that we have to do, as opposed to walking around naturally and doing things without even having to think about them. Okay, so everything that you have to think about is effectively unnatural. It's like a prime example of what is unnatural, was unnatural to me, was playing guitar. Okay, I'd be playing this guitar, my fiddlestick and stuff, and I'm like, how come I can't play like these other guys? And again, everything's outside of myself. Why can't I play like these other guys? They seem like they're having way more fun than I am. But I didn't really look at it that way. But I was taking something that was unnatural to me, and if I make it look easy to you people, that's only because I've done something that's so unnatural to me so many times that it was unnatural, and it now thus became unnaturally natural to me. And now I don't have to think about this. Now, this is not an evil example of unnatural becoming natural. But an evil example of unnatural becoming natural would be like you're raised to become a racist or something like this, right? Can you see where I'm going with this? So you've been programmed and you've been raised, and meanwhile, like if a child never learned this and never even heard of this nonsense, the child would never know about this nonsense. You follow me? So again, by what we distribute from the author of confusion, we're thus making everything so complex outside of ourselves, and we don't, right? Another prime example is we could plant some carrots and water these seeds and grow the carrots and have carrots, or we could step out of the garden and really go out, and now we're working for some asshole who barely wants to pay us a pittance. We can barely afford to buy the carrots that we were once planting for free. Do you follow me on this, right? So again, anything that you have to think about, like your thumb and going to work to obtain a carrot, and it's always the carrot dangling above everybody's heads, people. And this is the lie and deception and the work of evil, okay? Simply put, people, you are the key, okay? They want you thinking that, oh, you always have to look for the key to find the keys to heaven and all this stuff. People, you are the key. Your spiritual being already knew this. Okay, that's why children don't come out. Children aren't born and aren't evil, right? This is all learned stuff that they learn later on, and unfortunately, people adulterate their children, right? And the children never had to come out of the gardens, and they, like they'll say, oh, a child's born in the U.S. and already, if the parents are American, the child's a U.S. citizen. Already, the child's a U.S. citizen. It's deemed that the child's going to pay taxes. The child doesn't even know what's going on yet because the child can't even understand this nonsense. And why? Because simply put, it's not even worth understanding. So why would you want to try to understand something that's not worth understanding? Again, this is the work of evil, okay? If it's too much to think about, well, that's not a good thing, right? Back to a good thumb. A good thumb doesn't throb, and I'm not thinking about this thumb, okay, people? So if I have to think about something, that means that I have to apply myself, apply, and now I'm lying to myself. It's like people take exams at school. Exam, right? No, you're supposed to be you. You're supposed to be proper, right? Not an XM, right? You are you, right? There's a reason for this, right? It's like people, they run around with the supposition that I am that I am. Well, if I am, that now means that there's this presupposition on me that I have to be something. People, I don't have to be anything. Whatever this is that's in front of this camera right now, I couldn't tell you, but I don't have to be nothing. I'm not even this body. This is just a spirit that resides in this body and uses this body as the conduit and the vehicle to talk through you people, okay? So I realize that I'm not in control whatsoever. I'm not even in control of the shit that comes out of my ass, okay, people? It happens when it happens, okay? So simply put, give up the control, give up the expectations. Like for me to have expectations of you when I'm not inside of your head and I expect you to do something, and meanwhile you don't even know because we've never even spoken about this matter, but I expect you because you should know better. Already you can see a problem with this, and the keys are always outside of themselves, right? It's like people, oh, when I meet so and so, I'll be happy, and oh, that'll make me happy, and then they meet so and so, and then they find out that everything made them happy at first, and now it's not making them happy. So again, they're just dumping that person, then they're off to the next person who's going to make them happy. And like there's an old saying, like if you're not happy with yourself, you will never be happy, okay? So therefore, like you look at Walt Disney, and it's always the damsel in distress. The girl kisses the toad, and he turns into her Prince Charming and her handsome and rescues her. And then there's another Walt Disney where the prince shows up on a white horse and picks her up. And oh my God, people, this is all bullshit, and this is all the damsel in distress nonsense. And the supposition is that a woman is nothing unless she has her other half. You follow me, people? You are not an individual. You are not in divide. You are whole, okay? You're physically whole. I cannot emphasize this enough. So people are running around looking for the key when you are the key. Look within, Close your eyes, and only when you close your eyes can the mind truly see, okay? And then, simply put, the universe starts telling you, like, you have the key, and the universe will say, hey, you've gotten off the beaten path. Here's the key to get back on that path. All the answers are within, not without. Again, this Satan was the author of confusion, and everybody's confused because everything became so complex. Used to be, simply put, we walked in the garden, the sun was shining on a pear tree, and we grabbed a pear. We didn't even think about it. Then we got into the world of thinking. You have two words, so now we're not as king, right? We're not a king. Now we're thin and king. So we're thin kings, and we're running around, and people are buying into this nonsense and perpetuating this nonsense, and it just keeps going on and on and on. And simply put, people, all we have to do is break the cycle and redistributing this nonsense, right? Like, your child is born automatically. Your child is going to be is a U.S. citizen, is going to grow up as a U.S. citizen, is going to pay taxes as a U.S. citizen, work and stuff. The child doesn't even know any of this yet. You see the lies here, people? People have taken us out of something where we didn't have to think at all what we were doing except for go on autopilot. And now we had to step out of autopilot into the work of evil and of the mind, right? And can the center be free from the can the mind be free from the center that is me? And absolutely, right? No mind. You'll ever notice, if you're having like a daydream or something, or you're feeling very peaceful, time ceases to stand still, okay? And when that happens, you know that you're in the zone, okay? Like, if you're not thinking about something and you're truly enjoying it or having fun, or the simply you're sitting outside down by the ocean and the sun shining in your face, and it feels nice to be part of the universe, the sun is keeping you warm and you feel blessed. And this is the way life should be, people. We didn't have to step out of the garden to go work in some shithole factory where it's not nice out. The sun's not beating down on us, keeping us warm. We're not enjoying ourselves, and we're sweating our balls off working in a factory, okay? So anyhow, people, you can see the difference between good and bad, and being in the garden and stepping out of the garden. And simply put, people stepped out of this garden, man. And, like, I'm not even a biblical, I believe a lot of stuff in these books, but there's also a lot of stuff where they're trying to prefabricate and tell different other stories that, like, have absolutely nothing to do, so they can keep people confused. And the best way to keep people confused is give them a little bit of truth mixed with a lot of lies. You follow me? So already, if it's not the truth and the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God, there's a problem. Okay, you follow me, people? You savvy, right? So anyhow, simply put, a good thumb is a thumb that you don't think about. If you whack that thumb with a hammer, man, and it's ouch, and 2, 3 days owies, and ouch, 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 my thumb is swollen, it hurts, I can't work on my car because my thumb is swollen and it hurts too much. And can you see how we've stepped out of the garden, people? Okay, is where before you weren't thinking about it and everything was natural. Otherwise, everything became unnatural, and we've learned to normalize this, and then we call the unnatural natural now. So we made what was unnaturally not natural natural. You follow me? Everything live or live, Live, now becomes evil. You take love, Love, switch it around, the anagram is evil, right? You follow me? Up now becomes down with these people, east becomes west, and you're standing upside down and you don't even know it, okay, people? But just believe what we say, right? Can you see the lies here in the author of confusion? So anyhow, I send you all green lights. I hope this video finds you well. I truly do. Again, peace and love out to everybody. Please try to stay true and genuine and compassionate towards your neighbors, and give up this conquer and divide stuff. I'm going to leave it at that. And, well, obviously, till then, here it comes. Keep your heads up and your sticks on the ice.